Hello and welcome to another amazing episode of Love, Life and Energy. Today I'm going to be a little bit more unscripted. I'm going to be very free flowing and really speaking from the heart. This is a topic that I've been focusing on the last couple of months when I've been doing my soul searching. It's called the courage to be yourself or the courage to pivot. So if you're in this situation yourself, you're looking for your next steps on where you need to go in order to attract your soulmate, to have your health balance, and you're looking for the wealth, the money that always eludes you, maybe because you're not in that career that's fulfilling or that's actually aligned to your soul, you are going to love this episode. So stick around. Welcome to Love, Life and Energy. I'm Michelle Chung, and this podcast is your go-to sanctuary for personal growth, designed for busy, career-driven women who are ready to embrace their highest potential and not settle for an average, ordinary life. Let's grow and manifest your dream life together. So today, a little bit more unscripted, I really wanted to talk about the courage to be yourself. Now, early in my coaching career, when I just started my business, actually, I read this really amazing book called The Courage to be Disliked. So if you're a extrovert or not quite a people pleaser, but you're a people person, then, other people not liking you is like one of your greatest fears, right? It's a big concern for you. And so this book was like the courage to be disliked and just to be on your own path, to be authentic, to have that courage. And it came back to me again now, a few years later, after being in coaching and also being in personal development for the last 15 years as well. Like it's a constant road of self-improvement, of self-development, just discovering yourself and who you are. And it's funny because when you're a coach, honestly, you're doing a lot of marketing, you're doing a lot of self-growth because you need to know yourself in order to know who you're helping, like what your service is, your coaching, what people want help with, the problems that they're trying to solve in their life. What I'm recognizing and what I'm seeing across the coaching industry and what other coaches are coming across as well is that there's a growth in consciousness. I think we've been doing this for a while. And a lot of people are moving away from I need someone to fix me. I need help to fix my problems, more towards what I love, which is personal evolution or personal mastery, self-mastery. And this is more towards an evolution of consciousness of people who are coming across this awareness of, yes, I need to be in the world and work with other people in order to get breakthroughs and discoveries. Like we don't get any breakthroughs unless we have a breakdown, a crisis, a wake-up call, like I've had many in my life. And it's more coming towards this, I want to discover my own zone of genius, and I want to be able to solve my own problems. I want to be self-led. I want to do the work that gives me the long-term lasting results, the growth, instead of these quick fix solutions where, and we all do them. I've been doing it. We all do it. Like we have a headache. We want to reach for the Panadol or the painkillers, right? In my own growth journey, I stopped doing that when I realized that didn't really fix my problems. Sharing my story again, when I was in my early 30s and I was married to my husband at the time, a really amazing guy. I send the best energies and love to him and his family now. And it was a great relationship. And there was really nothing wrong with it. And at that point in time, I was training martial arts. That's actually how I met him. We were in capoeira, a Brazilian martial arts together. I was very much in my masculine. And I was obsessed with it. I loved training, had a lot of friends. We had a great community there. And there was one point I was training and I just kept getting injured. And luckily for me, it was a few years down the track. And a lot of people eventually get injured from training hardcore like this. And for me, fortunately, I had a good run, but then I injured my discs in my back and it led to sciatic pain. So I don't know if you know what sciatic pain is. It's basically a nerve pinching in your spine that shoots pain down either leg and
For me, it was sometimes in the left, sometimes in the right, and doctors couldn't figure out why. I was going to the chiropractic, I was getting adjustments. I went to a surgeon and he recommended doing surgery to remove my vertebra and replace it with plastic version. And even back then, I knew that surgery wasn't the option for me. And my mum was like, please just have the surgery. I can't just see you in pain. And I knew deep down that surgery was a quick fix. It was a solution. But for me, it was not an option. And it's not that I don't advocate Western medicine or surgery. There is definitely a place for that. And a lot of health practitioners will say that. Obviously, go to the ER if you have a life-threatening emergency. And what I advocate more towards, and the reason why I studied kinesiology and mind-body medicine, was tapping into the ancient wisdom that our bodies can heal ourselves. We can heal ourselves. We don't need to be replacing body parts and putting other things back in and removing body parts. There's a reason for everything and there's a purpose for everything. So sometimes humans, we meddle too much, right? Trying to find the fix and the solution, where the actual solution is discovering what the root cause of the situation is. So in hindsight and reflection, when I look back and see what was the cause, the root cause of my pain and my injury, and this is a very condensed version, but I lived through 12 months of this pain where I actually couldn't walk. I literally had to lie on the floor. We'd booked tickets to my birthday to go to the new art museum, the new exhibition. Couldn't go. I couldn't even walk around. I couldn't leave the house. I was in constant pain. When we'd go to sleep, I'd wake up in the middle of the night in pain and to have to crouch on the floor in some contorted position to alleviate the pain. So it was a very major part of my pivot in my life. And it was the wake-up call. A lot of people will say your wake-up call is the thing that gets you to stop and really assess your life. So when I think about that pivot in my life, and what I've discovered is that when you're in pain and when you have a health challenge, the root cause of that is you're not following your purpose. And I know this may seem like a very far distance between cause and effect. Let's bring it back a little bit. Before we're born and before we come to this earth, we make a contract with ourselves and the people in our lives, and that's called karma, right? Where we want to achieve a certain something in our life. We come to achieve maybe being a woman in this lifetime, maybe being a man in this lifetime, maybe achieving an impact in this world in this lifetime. Maybe it's to be a mum in this lifetime, to have a family. And so we have our own personal journey. And we don't know this when we're born, right? We're like memory erased. We're like an infant with no memory of this contract. And it's not like we're blank canvases. We do get that in our childhood. We get that imprinting from our families that we chose, which enables us and equips us with tools that we need later in life. And we don't see that relevance until later. We don't join those dots. And so what I realized was my purpose has always been to make an impact in the world, to be somebody who helps others to reach their fullest potential. And I love that. That's really my gift. And that's really what I'm meant to do here on this earth, right? And what I realized was from that injury and all that pain was that I was living an amazing life and there was more for me. And if I hadn't had that injury, I would have continued down that path. And I would have ended up in some instance of, I don't feel fulfilled anymore in my life. And maybe that's potentially where you're at as well, where you don't feel fulfilled in what you do in your life, or you're looking and seeking for other answers and you're moving towards a spiritual realm because the physical world or the world is not giving you the answers and you're just feeling more numb, or you're sick of the alcohol numbing you and all these other things that don't serve to quieten that discomfort of unfulfillment anymore, right? So what I realized that I wasn't on the track to fulfill my greatest potential. And when I did a kinesiology session. It was a swap with my friend Leah, who was in my class at the College of Complementary Medicine here in Sydney. And I distinctly remember sitting up from that session with her where we were doing energy and healing work together. I sat up and I said, I can't be in this marriage anymore. And it was a huge revelation, but I knew in my soul, I knew deep down, this is the path I'm meant to follow. And it was an awakening, an intuitive download, an insight that made me go, my life is right now is giving me this pain. And not because it was wrong or not because I was doing anything wrong or no. It was really a wake-up call to say, we need to reassess where I'm headed. And that's why my body gave me this pain to stop me in my tracks and say, wait, hang on, stop. This is great. And you've learned everything you can up until now. As one of my spiritual advisors, Nancy, says, up until now. So that was my first major pivot. And people would say to me, wow, that must have taken a lot of courage to leave your marriage. And for me, getting divorced, it wasn't like a big deal. It was amicable. I'm very grateful to him. And he recognized that our paths were moving apart as well. We're growing apart. And we'd been together for 8.5 years. And we could have continued going that way. There would have been nothing wrong with it. And I suppose what people saw in that act was the courage to actually be myself, the courage to step out into my higher self, into my higher power, although I didn't know that's what I was doing at the time. And for me, it was a step towards what I knew I needed to be doing. And it was really a sign to the universe that I was listening, that I was taking action to the guidance that the universe, God, spiritual, my higher self, was offering. So I said yes to those insights in that offering. So that courage to be myself included, yes, maybe upsetting other people. My family at some point were disappointed and maybe even ashamed. I come from an Asian family, and lucky for me, they were never put any pressure on me to have a certain career or to be a certain way. Actually, no, to be a certain way, I did have that pressure. But my career was always my own. I knew that I was smart enough to make my own choices of what I wanted to do with my life. But I did disappoint in being the first one to have a divorce. And I didn't know about it, but in the background, the aunties, they talk about you, they gossip, right? That's what ethnic cultures do. And I didn't know that it was all that. And luckily I didn't, because it helped me not be uncourageous. That ignorance helped me be courageous towards my own path. And I knew that's the way I needed to go. And not long after, as I kept listening to my intuition and getting more spiritual insights, I did find the right health practitioner, a chiropractor who was more developed and advanced and also was in a spiritual understanding. And so it brought in the right people and attracted the right people who could help me heal. And he's my friend, Phil. Thank you. I'm so grateful to you for helping me in my journey. And so within a couple of months, that healing process was underway. And so that period of pain was a year. And then I was able to close that chapter in my life. It didn't have to drag on and on for many years or decades. It was like, okay, I cut the lesson. Thank you. But there were moments when I was like, why me? Like, I'm in my early 30s. I want to have a family. I'm trying to have kids, but I have this pain. So I don't think my body can do both. Like, your body will want you to be safe in order to carry through a pregnancy. And so that was one of the issues going through for me, that all my friends are falling pregnant. They're all having their first kids. And here I was getting divorced. and in massive pain. And I was in a very different part of my life. And I was constantly comparing myself to what my friends were doing and what expectations my family had. So there's a huge amount of courage to follow your own path. And I get it. I'm sharing this because I want you to have courage to follow your own path as well. Okay. So then I guess the second area of pivot and the courage to be myself was after my divorce. Then I was looking to be in a new relationship. I knew that I wanted to be with someone. I wanted to have a family, wanted to have kids. And, I started dating, and a lot of my body of work, as you'll hear in past episodes of Love, Life and Energy, are about manifesting your soulmate, meeting the right guy, your ideal partner, and how to do that. And so that was a very big part of my life 10 years ago. And I was single for 5 years. I traveled around the world. I did amazing things. I was still very much in that seeking energy of wanting to find the right man for me. Hindsight is amazing, right? All this that I know now, I'm sharing with you. So you don't have to make these same mistakes. But I was very much in that searching mode, that very masculine, dating, trying to find the right guy. And eventually I did meet him, Raf, my partner. So we actually met in Barcelona in Spain. So I was intuitively called to move to Spain, even though I didn't know Spanish. I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any connections. I've never lived in Europe before. Again, following my intuition, I was really called to move there. And my guidance led me there. And it wasn't until COVID, so 2020, that I started taking action, because what I'd realized was there was this level of resistance that I had within me because I wasn't meeting my partner. It was through a business mentor's podcast that I was listening to that he gave me another wake-up call to say, hey, if you're not getting what you want, there's some level of resistance there. So when I really took a look into that, I was working with a life coach. I was doing a lot of interpersonal development work. And what I didn't realize I was doing that was actually putting me on the right path was uncovering what is my next step in my life that leads, and that in itself is that self-led energy, that personal mastery. But I didn't know that I was doing that. And that led me to create a book club, which was called Personal Growth and Spirituality Book Club. And those were my top 2 values. And I wanted to meet like-minded people at the time in Barcelona. There's always so many things happening. It's a city for singles, right? You'll never need to be alone if you don't want to be. But I was tired of those meetups that were like drinks and salsa dancing and hiking. And it was just bringing in very superficial people. And that was really not suitable for me for a relationship. I was like, I want to be with someone who's on a deeper level, who's on this growth of spiritual growth as well. And that's when Raf came to me. He actually came to one of my events. And as soon as I met him, I knew that he was the one, right? So that moving towards my higher self, stepping into my higher power, led me to take actions which brought my soulmate into my life. And that's the last couple of years of my business. I've been helping women to do that. That bravery, that courage, again, to pivot, the courage to move to a different country that I never been to before. I've had a lot of courage to move into different areas of my life, take massive steps and actions. And to me, it didn't feel like courage. It just felt like this is the right next step. This is knowing, right? So I love to help people have that courage as well. Not from a forced point of view, because the courage is not really about, I need to have the courage and summon up the courage. It's not about that. It's about really aligning to your soul purpose, the essence of who you're supposed to be in this lifetime to reach your greatest potential. And I'm all about reaching your potential. I just love, love, love doing that for people and helping them understand where they're meant to be in their life and who they're meant to be, uncovering that, right? When you're living that life and you're moving towards your higher self. The last episode that I've released in this podcast was about timeline jumping. Everything is really coming together with that, because timeline jumping is really about tapping into the frequency of that different version of you, that alternate reality, and bringing it forth So it's available in this life, in this reality. Okay. Some of these concepts can be a little bit challenging to grasp, and just know that being in that motion, that movement, is going to help bring in the right people, create opportunities, and give you clues and signs as to which direction you need to go. And that's where I can help you as well. So sometimes it is going to make you really scared. This is the point I was going through even just a couple of days ago. It was like, I really want to help people reach their potential, and I just don't know how to market myself. I don't know what words to use. I don't know if people are going to think it's too woo, if people are going to think XYZ, right? So my real fear was stepping into my higher self in order to serve the people who are meant to be serving. And I love working with women and serving women. All of a sudden, men are coming to me as well. And it's really interesting how when you start to uncover and you're peeling open the gifts that universe has wrapped for you, you're starting to peel open corners, and stuff starts happening for you. People start coming into your life where you're like, wow, that's a sign. Or I pull tarot cards and it's very aligned to what I'm doing. And I've had moments where I'm like, okay, universe, if this is what I'm meant to be doing, then this will happen by this date. And then nothing happens. And I'm like, oh, okay. Did I miss it? Or maybe that's not what I'm meant to be doing. Now, in hindsight, when I look at it, I go, oh, okay, that didn't happen because I wasn't meant to go in that direction. Okay, so maybe you're also feeling that as well, where something that you really wanted, it's going to make your life complete, it's going to make you happy or whatever. And you're asking God, universe, and you're like, I want this, give it to me, give it to me. And it doesn't happen. And now when you reflect back and you just laugh and you go, oh, okay, thank you. Thanks, universe. I wasn't meant to be going down that way. So universe will always work with you to give you that guidance, to make you the clues that will bring you to your highest path and to your soul journey. Okay, so we are constantly evolving. We're meant to be evolving. In Chinese medicine, stagnation equals death. So if atoms are not vibrating and cells are not being created and lost, that movement, that flow, if seasons are not changing, if things are not being born and dying, that cycle, that flow, we need to have that in our lives. And if you feel unfulfilled, it's probably because you're stagnant in some area of your life that needs to have a wake-up call or more closer look into why is that actually happening. And so what I've recognized is, and to summarize this episode, it's if your health is not where you want it to be, perhaps you have been diagnosed with a disease or illness, you don't feel great, you have low energy, all those kind of things. For me, what I've recognized is that the root cause of that is lack of following your soul path. It's that misalignment, and your body is literally saying, wake up or stop. Stop going in that direction like it did for me. Pay attention to me. I'm trying to tell you what is going on. And my spiritual mentors will say this, we're so disembodied. We check out of the bodies. We had trauma when we were growing up. Maybe we've had abuse. Maybe we've had negative things happen to us. So literally our soul comes out of our body and goes, forget about this. Human life sucks and it's hard. And I've had this myself where it's, oh my gosh, life sucks. And when we're disembodied, like we're walking around disembodied, like we're going to work, we're on the train, we're checked out, we're on social media, we're like numb. And this whole movement now towards consciousness, towards personal mastery, towards personal evolution is really to come back into your body, your soul. Like we're spiritual beings in a human body, our soul coming back into our body, feeling, experiencing those emotions, all those things that we have as a human being. And that is really, I guess, the holy grail or the purpose of our journey on earth, is to really live an embodied life, listen to our bodies. If it's pain, take a look at that. What is that root cause? What do we need to align? That misalignment is causing the pain, right? And the same thing, the second area of your life, whether it be relationships, if you're not meeting the right guy and you're constantly sick of the dating apps, the dating approach that I have is really just to focus on your vision, values, and your purpose in your life. Again, that personal mastery, that self-evolution towards your highest self. When you're on that journey, your soul path, that's where your soul mate will be waiting for you. Just like I had to go to Barcelona in order to meet Raf. That was my soul path. I was meant to be there, right time, right place, right man. And then the wealth. This is very much the root cause of self-worth. If you're not having the self-esteem, the courage to follow your purpose and your path, the wealth will always be hard, will always be a struggle, will always feel like you're chasing. So everything is aligned to following your purpose, the health, the love, the wealth. This all comes into play and is given to you because the universe is always trying to give you good stuff. When you're on your path, your journey towards your soul purpose. Now, I know you're probably going, okay, how do I do this? So a lot of it can happen through that self-discovery, that self-mastery. And it will be a journey. It's not going to be a quick fix where you say, oh, I'm meant to do that. I'm meant to be a teacher. I'm meant to be a Reiki healer, or I'm meant to be a stockbroker. Your next path, your next step on your journey will be shown to you, but you will not see 10 steps ahead. You don't know what that next thing is going to bring you 10 years later. Like, it's not meant to be like that. So when we try to work in a 10-year blocks or even 5-year blocks, the world is changing so quickly that we don't know that those pathways are actually going to be the right pathway for you. Okay, so to basically wrap up this episode, I'd love to offer you a complimentary coaching session. This is to step into your power. So if you'd like to book a call with me and learn about how you can actually step into your higher power and understand what is the next step for you, because it's not about chasing the best health or love or money. It's really about stepping into the highest version of you, timeline jumping, and actually attracting and bringing all that into your life effortlessly. And that's really the power of this new work that I'm focusing on. Okay, so hope you've loved this episode. I've really enjoyed speaking and sharing with you this episode. So make sure you click on the links below. If you have any questions, do send me a message on my Instagram @MichelleChungCoach. And I really look forward to meeting you. I'll see you later.